Hello children, Natural Resources, Class 8, Subject Science, Chapter 1, and this is the Part 8. So topics covered in the previous class. So we have studied about wildlife, mineral resources and mining. So in today's class, we will be studying something about fossil fuels. So what do we mean by fossil fuels? So as you all can see in this picture, natural gas, petroleum products and coal forms the fossil fuels. And let us look at the composition of all these fossil fuels. So what are all common among all these things? So we can see carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulphur and oxygen as the common thing among all these three. Right? So, in case of petroleum products and coal, minerals is extra. So, let us look at the definition of fossil fuels. So, the resources like coal, petroleum products and natural gas are collectively called fossil fuels. So, now the question arises whether they are renewable or non-renewable resources. Yes, so they are non-renewable resources. And why? So for this question, so the answer is in the upcoming slides. Okay. So now let us look at the formation of fossil fuels. So how the fossil fuels are being formed? So they are the result of photosynthetic activity of green plants which were existing millions of years ago. So what do you understand by this? It is nothing but the fossil fuels are made from decomposing plants and animals. Okay, so these fuels are found in the earth's crust and they contain carbon and hydrogen which can be burnt for energy. So now the question arises, what is the meaning of decomposition? So what do we exactly mean by decomposition? So it is the process by which dead organic substances are broken down into simpler organic or inorganic matter. Like water can be decomposed into hydrogen and oxygen. Let me repeat it again. So decomposition is the process by which dead organic substances are broken down into simpler organic or inorganic matter. Okay. So as I have given the example of water, so water can be decomposed into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. So let me read out the formation of fossil fuels. So the first point in that is they are the result of photosynthetic activity of green plants which were existing when? Millions of years ago. Remember this, children, because it cannot be formed in a single day. So these are formed millions of years ago and they got submerged within the earth's crust and formed the fossil fuels. So now, as we all know that coal, petroleum products and natural gas are collectively called as fossil fuels. So now let us look at in detail about all these things. Okay, so first is the coal. So what do we mean by coal? Coal is a natural resource with high carbon content. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Carbon in the sense what? It is a ash, right? When you burn a substance, when you burn anything, you get a ash, carbon ash, right? So that is nothing but coal is rich in high carbon content. Okay. So now let us look at the different types of coal. So the four types of coal deposits are anthracite, and it is about 80% of carbon, lignite about 50 to 65% of carbon, peat about 40% of carbon, and bituminous coal less than 40% of carbon. So this is about the coal. And now let us move on to the next topic called petroleum products. So in our day-to-day life, we may be using all these petroleum products in one or the other way. right? So which are the petroleum products which is found? Yes, it is petrol, diesel, kerosene, lubricating oils and naphtha. So what do you mean by naphtha? It is nothing but it is a flammable liquid hydrocarbon mixture. So where it is used? Basically it is used in liquid fuels and diluents for paints. So what do you mean by diluents? So you will not use paint as it is there in the shop, right? You will dilute it, which means you will mix that with some other thing, and it is made up of naphtha. And in solvents in rubber industry. So what do you mean by solvent? You all have studied, right? Solute, solvent and solution, right? Solvent is nothing but where the solute gets dissolved. So in rubber industry we use naphtha. Okay, so all these represent various forms of petroleum products, and they account for about 40% of the total energy consumed in the world. So what do you mean by that? So when compared to all other gases, all other energy like solar energy, bioenergy, so petroleum products account for about 40% of the total energy consumed in the world. And last but not the least, so we'll be studying about the natural gas. So what do you mean by natural gas? Natural gas is formed when layers of decomposing plant and animal matter are exposed to intense heat and pressure under the surface of earth over millions of years. So this is also just like the fossil fuels, the natural gas are also formed. It takes over millions of years to form the natural gas. And on what condition? When they are exposed to intense heat and pressure, the natural gases are formed. And low sulphur content makes it the least polluting source of fuel. So you all can see, right? Because due to petrol, diesel and all, there is lot of pollution. But when you use natural gas, it is the least polluting source. Okay, why is it so? Because it contains low sulphur. Okay, please remember this, children. Due to low sulphur, natural gas is determined as least polluting source of fuel. And now the usage of fossil fuels. So consumption rate is more than the rate of formation of fossil fuels. Hence fossil fuels are called as non-renewable resource. Why do you think that the consumption rate is more when compared to the rate of formation? Because formation of fossil fuels takes millions of years, right? Whereas consumption of fossil fuels takes every day. Every day we use fossil fuels in our day-to-day life. Hence, fossil fuels are called as non-renewable resources. Okay, so if we do not reduce the consumption, we will run out of them very quickly. And one of the disadvantages is that they pollute the environment. Okay, and let us look at another two disadvantages of fossil fuels. So burning fossil fuels emits a number of air pollutants that are harmful to both the environment and public health. Yes or no? So when you burn a petrol or when you burn a diesel, kerosene, so you are just polluting the air, right? So what happens as a result of that? It is harmful to environment as well as the public health. So when you inhale such kind of a air, such kind of a polluted air, what happens? Your respiratory problems occurs, right? So this is one of the disadvantage of fossil fuels. And second disadvantage is that due to sulfur dioxide. So from where do you get sulfur dioxide? It is a result of burning coal. Okay. So when you burn a coal, you get the result as sulfur dioxide. Okay. And that contribute to the acid rain. And about acid rain, we have already discussed in your lower class. Right. Due to which we get many skin diseases. Okay. So let us summarize. So in today's class, we have studied about fossil fuels. So which are the fossil fuels? Coal, petroleum products and natural gas. So these are the questions. Fossil fuels are called as dash. Second question, write the disadvantages of fossil fuels. Third question, consumption rate is dash than the rate of formation of fossil fuels. Fourth question, low sulfur content is dash. And last, fifth question is, name the 4 types of coal deposits. Thank you, children. So let's meet in the next class.